Oh, hey there. This is a little different, right? No intro music. Well, it's coming. I'm just going to do a very brief intro this week because I am called to reshare a particular episode that you may have missed. I am called to do this because I had an encounter earlier today that reminded me of this very thing. It is short and sweet, and it is complete. I have enough of a library to start rebooting some of these topics as TBT, Throwback Thursday scenarios, which those of you who have been listening for a while may appreciate my personal evolution, as this was originally published in, I think, December of 2020 under a different title. I still appreciate everything I said almost 2 years ago. I hope that by giving it a little bump here that you will feel the same way. Yet, as you may well know, I have no control over how you may receive what I say now or what I said then. I just ask you to listen through the filter of. I use a coworker scenario in this episode, but it absolutely can translate to familial relationships. In fact, I encourage it. Think about that as you listen. The judgments, the talking about you, all of the things. It absolutely happens when you work with me. I can help you to become okay with all of that. I can help you settle in and be completely comfortable with who you really are, no matter what they say or do. And with that, I want to also incorporate in this little extended intro is a card pull that I did from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle Cards deck. I did this card pull for you. I asked angels and ancestors to respond to this particular episode and help you, the listener, through this. And this is what I pulled. I pulled the shaman, which is trust in higher forces. And the short message is trust in your angels, guides, and ancestors. If you have given your power away, claim it back. Okay? To go a little bit further on the inner planes of all the shamans of times gone by, are helping the human race to understand the complexities of life and the needs of Mother Earth, and many are awakening as spiritual guides to light workers and light warriors. The shaman card brings the energy of your shaman guides to you. Also, there are spiritual allies working in your favor, and their miracles will unfold much more easily when you move into a state of trust. So call back your power and stop allowing external forces to divert you from the miracles you deserve. Hand over all of your concerns to your spiritual allies. When you do so, you allow them to send you intuitive guidance and messages that will allow you to correct this situation and come out on top. The shaman card also shows you that you have shamanic potential to move between the realms and connect with your guides in an extremely personal way. I feel so many things having pulled this card for you, for the collective you who are listening, whenever or wherever you are hearing this reboot episode. I want to add that at this particular time that of the original recording, I was not getting into the spiritual realm. I was not talking about that. I mean, I was personally into it, but I was not openly talking about it. So thank you for allowing me to pull a card for you and enjoy a little TBT today, my friends. You have found what lights you up. I'm your host, Sunny the Life Coach, and I'm here because I see you searching for something or someone out there to help you feel better. Something to take away the pain that you're feeling, the inadequacies. I know all of the things that happen in life can leave you feeling empty. Your search is over. This podcast is all about finding your own freedom and power to love yourself enough to shine in the ways you were always meant to, the ways in which you are already fully capable of. If you're ready for some real talk, some serious truth bombs, and a few F-bombs, you are in the right place. Let's do this. Let's get lit. Hey there. Welcome to episode 38. I want to share a neat little phrase with you before I get into this important topic. The phrase is something my ex would say a lot, and it was, "All I know is what you tell me." I didn't think it was neat at the time, and he used it quite often, really as his way of stating, "I don't believe you," or "prove it." But now I look at this as quite the profound little statement. All I know is what you tell me. Because besides the sneaky thoughts that end up being sentences in your mind, other people in your life also say shit all the time that isn't necessarily true. Or maybe it's true for them, and you come to understand that it doesn't have to be true for you. Either way, when people tell you something, especially something that someone else said about you, the reality is, all I know is what you tell me. So interesting. Reflections usually are. I want to address something today that I see I have been wrapped up in the past, and I think this comes naturally for people pleasers. I'm personally in recovery. I want to take some time to talk about the fact that people do talk about you. They do it. It happens. And that's one of the things that people pleasers are trying desperately to avoid. I think one of the moments in my life that really sticks with me is finding out that my former coworkers had some shit to say about where I chose to sit in a meeting. And I would spend all of this time prepping for this meeting. I would go through all of the projects that our team was working on and develop an agenda with not only updates, also action items. Not just about what you've done this week, but what are you going to do? Do you need assistance? How can we make this happen? Lots of thought and planning went into these meetings. I was constantly thinking about how it would all be received. Yet, I never considered for one second that where I chose to sit would matter to these people. I found out that they took issue with me sitting at the head of the table. Yeah. Really. They talked about me like, who does she think she is? I mean, she's just a peer. She's not over us. And when I found this out, I didn't get confrontational about it, mind you. I couldn't really show my hand. I couldn't actually know that they said these things about me. I couldn't know that they were talking about me, and specifically which chair I chose in a freaking conference room. Yeah. Really. So, what did I do with this intel? Well, the very first thing that I did was ruminate about my thoughts about me, their opinions and their judgments. And of course, I was angry and defensive about it. To be very clear, I was madder than hell about it. I had spent all of this time planning that meeting, and I did that every week. I put a lot of thought into what I was going to wear and how I was going to fix my hair, just as much thought as I put into the agenda that I created, because I wanted to give the best impression, and I wanted to kind of control their thoughts about me. I never dreamed that the chair I chose to sit in would be an issue. And I chose that chair, quite honestly, because it's the best way to view everyone's faces when you're sitting at a table. I wasn't consciously choosing a position of power. It was more of a position of convenience. And I suppose I thought at the time that I just wanted to see everyone well and interact with them. That's it. Yet, who does she think she is what came from it. Not what I was wearing, how my hair was styled, or the actual fucking content of the meeting that I had put a lot of effort into, but the seat I chose to sit in. Who knew that would be the controversy? I truly allowed myself to be hurt by that. I allowed my thoughts to race and my subconscious inner mean bitch to take over, and I questioned everything about what I was doing and whether I was doing it right. To be clear, I allowed myself to be hurt by my own thoughts about myself, not from the opinions of others, but from my own thoughts, period. Of course, I know this now, but I didn't know it then. What's the next thing that I did after ruminating on my thoughts? Well, I made sure that I never again took a seat at the head of the table. Reflecting back, I realized how sad and utterly damaging to the core of my being that decision was. I never again took a seat at the head of any table, even when I went on to work in different places, because I thought that if I changed where I sat, that my coworkers would stop talking about me. That's all I really wanted. I wanted their approval. I wanted their acknowledgement. I wanted their acceptance. I thought that if I could only please them, then I would feel like a whole and valuable human. You know what they did after I changed the seat I took? They started talking about why I changed my seat. Yes, they did. They started questioning whether or not something was said to me, which of course it was, and who said something, and was that the reason that I changed seats in every meeting after that. Wow. Just wow. Here's another thing that I didn't realize then. How utterly interesting it is to be so very concerned about which chair I chose to sit in for a meeting that I had organized. And you may have had a similar thought too, just hearing this. Yet, do you really understand, first of all, how damaging it is for you to be so very concerned about what everyone else thinks of you? And secondly, how you are changing your behaviors to accommodate others. I never again took a seat at the head of any table because I was terrified of what other people might think about it or what they might say. That is fucking tragic. It truly is. Because I'm thinking that I can control what other people think about me and what they will say about me, and that's not even rational. It truly is not. I have zero control over what other people think of me, over what they will say about me, over their own thoughts and opinions, their words, their actions. Zero control. They talked about me when I took a seat at the head of the table, and they talked about me when I changed my seat, wondering why I did. Either way, they talked amongst themselves, they formed their own opinions and judgments, and they did what they were going to do. It never really mattered what I did. All of that thought, effort, and planning that I did never mattered in the end. That's what I had to come to realize, and it took me years to figure that out. It will never truly matter what I do, what I say, what I write, what I post, what I speak out loud. Where I sit, someone is going to have a thought about it. And that can just be neutral. That can just be okay. It can just be what it is. Someone else's thoughts about you can just be neutral. Oh my God, I'm also recalling how I completely blew a job interview so many years ago. There was a question, something along the lines of, what's one thing about your job that you can't stand? And I responded without even thinking about it, office gossip. Well, that went over like a lead balloon because the manager interviewing me and his assistant just looked at each other, and then he turned to me and said, office gossip can be a good thing. We wouldn't have known that Peggy's mother is ill without it. Yeah, I didn't get that job. And it's okay because that job was clearly not meant for me. I was meant to go on to bigger and better things like being trashed for which seat I chose in a conference room. If it seems like I'm still a bit salty over this, I want to be clear that I'm not. I've come full circle with it. I've reconciled it all in my mind because that's where the magic happens, in my mind, in your mind. That is where your power resides, your power and my power. It comes from knowing your worth. And quite honestly, you can choose new thoughts to think, which is what I've done with this scenario and so many others. Here's a new thought to try on when you find out that people are talking about you. I'm flattered. Seriously, try that one on and see how it fits. Just like you would try on a new outfit in a dressing room, try it on for size. Why does anyone choose to talk about anyone else? Because they matter in some way. Be it big or small. Take it as a fucking compliment because it is. Isn't the saying, there's no such thing as bad press? I know we're hating on the media these days, and I get it. I really do. But think about that saying. If someone is talking about you, even forming opinions and judgments about you, even sharing them with others, you are in their head. You are on their mind. That is a compliment. Good press, bad press. Either way, I'm in the news. Love me or hate me, either way, I'm in your head. And I'm flattered to be taking up that space because the competition is stiff with any number of other people or topics that could be taking up residence in there. Seriously, there's no shortage of topics. If you find yourself the center of attention, what's really even wrong with that? Be fascinated by it. Be amazed by it. Be in awe of it. Allow yourself to be flattered. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to go on defense and say, that's not what I really meant. You can just be. You can just be yourself. As Rumi says, you are not one, you are 1,000. Just light your lantern. Don't be worried about shining your light. Don't be wrapped up so much in what other people will think or what they might say to never try taking a seat at the head of the table. Have the audacity to do whatever it is that you're being called to do. Because on one hand, you can have the realization that for all of the prep work of this meeting, the biggest takeaway from your coworkers is where you chose to sit. And on the other hand, you can have the realization that for all of the prep work of this meeting, the biggest takeaway from your coworkers is where you chose to sit. And they were thinking about you. You get to choose what filters you apply to that scenario. It's all neutral until you have a thought about it. Other people's thoughts, other people's opinions, you have no control over them. What they do, what they say, zero, nada, nothing. Make the conscious choice to think highly of yourself, even if you believe that no one else does. And trust me when I say that is what matters. how you talk about yourself and to yourself matters so much more than what anyone thinks or even what they say, because that's how you talk to yourself and about yourself. That is within your control. Only that. Now talk to yourself right now and say, all I know is what you tell me. Listen, if this resonates with you, it would be my highest honor to have you take just a couple of seconds out of your day and write a quick review on Apple Podcasts. Doing this will help others find this message too. Light up, shine on.